We all figured since it was a cruise ship and we'd come out of Washington State. We'd been on this thing for a week already. We figured, it's pretty safe. Seems pretty safe. I mean, it's floated all this time and didn't even hint that it was gonna sink. So we got up into some, I don't know what they call it. You get in the narrow passages up there in Alaska. When they sent us out they got this big arm on the deck, on the upper deck, the fifth deck, where nobody ever goes because it's cold as shit out there, man. We're all trying to just stay warm up here. It's fucking cold. But they got this big arm made out of metal and stuff. And so it picks up this boat sitting up there. It's like the boat. I mean, we're on a boat. You can't call it a boat. You have to call it a ship. I don't know what the size limits are for all that stuff where you start naming stuff in different ways, but so they put it in the water and then they folded over this. Now here's the, I mean, there should have been a hint right here. Anybody with any sense would have said, what are you calling that? Gangplank? No, I'm not walking from the big boat to the little boat along something called a gangplank. Gangplank? Really? Can't you come up with a better name? Like, walkway. Big boat to little boat walkway. Passageway. Gangplank. Now, it turns out it was a good thing that we did walk the gangplank. Guess at least we're on dry land. Man. In all the brochures, they never... I don't know, you'd think they'd be honest once in a while. They just show all them videos of people running around on the deck and sitting in the jacuzzi tubs and children running around with ice creams and stuff. At least once, show a ship sinking. And when we got off, we went from the big ship to the little ship, big boat, little boat, whatever. Big ship to the boat, big boat to the little ship. I don't know. But we got on that thing, and then it started chugging away, chug, toward the coast next to the... Well, they weren't penguins. What were those? Well, that's right, they're bears. Yeah, so anyway, there was a bunch of bears and stuff. Scared them all off. They all ran off into the ice. There's no wood up there. There's no trees. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with the place if you can't grow any trees. So, but as all of a sudden we hear this siphoning, it's like whoosh, whistling kind of siphon, sound. And we look back and gosh darn, if the back end of that ship, I'm going to call it a ship now, that's what they told me to do, wasn't already underwater and the front of it was sticking up in the air. And that sucker, I think it took about 7.5 seconds. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. Yep, it took about 7.5 seconds, and all of a sudden, whoosh, gone. And there was just like this shoot of water that shot up into the air, and suddenly there was no boat. No boat. Uh, did they remove the luggage before they did that? There was some stuff I wanted. I had in. No, of course not. Nobody thinks ahead like that far. But there were some passengers floating around out there for a while. And I asked them, hey, you guys, did you grab the luggage? They didn't seem to care about what I was, selfish fucks. They weren't out there very long, though. All of a sudden, they were gone, too. And then it was just us on the ice shelf with the bears. The bears were still there. They didn't go anywhere. They just moved over. And I'll tell you something about bears. And I'm here to tell you because I'm a survivor. I survived. Bears don't like being moved over. And if you move some bears over, you better get ready. Oh, I'm so glad they had some guns on that little boat. The little boat didn't go down. We got to keep that for a while until the people in the big red boats came and scared off the bears. But it was a while. It was quite a while. We were on that ice shelf, and it was getting cold, and hell, my jacket was gone. It was in my luggage. I went over, I stood near the edge of the ice shelf and looking out there trying to see if maybe my jacket was floating around somewhere. It wasn't. There was no jacket. Oh, I can't remember the name of that company. In fact, I think I tried to purposely forget. But it was something like Sunrise Alaskan Cruises or something, or we don't sink any more boats today, Alaskan Cruises or something. I can't remember. They picked us up in a helicopter. It was nice. I'd never ridden in a helicopter. And it was just in time, too, because the men in the red boat that came on shore and with their guns and stuff. I'll tell you something about bears in case you don't know it. They don't like being pushed over. And then when people start shooting stuff, and that even pisses them off more. So, most of them, it's like, there's always one, right? There's always one. Well, most of the bears just moved a little further over, but no, not that one. And that poor fella from the red boat who was shooting his rifle into the air. He might as well have been on the boat, the big boat, the one that went down. He probably would have been happier. After the first arm was ripped off, and all the screaming and shit, I was like, maybe he shouldn't have shot that rifle. Maybe the bear just would have moved over if you'd asked him. Have you ever just asked the bear, hey, Mr. Bear, could you move over a little bit more? You didn't even try that. And so I didn't feel too sorry for him after the first arm was ripped off, and then the leg went. That's when he really started to make some screaming noises like I've never heard from him. And it wasn't long after that. Suddenly he decided to just, accept the pain, and he stopped screaming. And Bear went over and grabbed him by the boot. There was a boot on the other foot that was still on his body. Bear grabbed him by the boot, turned around and drug him over where all the other moved over bears were. And they all gathered around and looked at him. I couldn't tell what was going on at that point, but they all seemed pretty interested. I think he would have been better off if he had been on the original boat with us as a tourist, or as, whatever the hell it was he was before he went away and got moved over by the bears that got moved over. So, what a mess. But we all got out of there. I like helicopters. You ever seen? And the water's so clear up there. You could see the front of that boat, the front part of the boat, and from the sky when we passed over it with the helicopter, and there was some. This is how cold it is up there. Someone had attempted. You ever seen that movie? What's that movie? They got a big boat that went down. They got the man and the woman, and they end up in the water. And he's clinging on to her. I don't know what the fuck. Somehow she found a piece of wood to float on or something. And but right before the boat goes down, it's tipping up, and they're up on the top and hanging on to some rails and shit. And but our boat, it was so cold that some people tried to do that, and they were frozen. You could see them underwater. Now, water's supposed to freeze at, 32 degrees? But when you get in those northern latitudes where they have bears you have to move over, and it's really cold, sometimes water stays moving around even though it's frozen. But the people still freeze. And there were a couple people trying to do that thing that they did in that movie, with the woman on the floating, whatever the fuck she found, and the guy hanging. And they were frozen to the rails. You could see them just underwater. It wasn't that deep. You don't know how long the ship is. So maybe it is pretty deep, but you could see them just under the water. They were frozen to the rail. They were holding on. And they're looking up to the sky. Help me. Help me. Both of them. Looked like a man and a woman right next to each other, holding on to that rail. Frozen. It looked frozen. We were in a helicopter, so I can't say for sure. Oh, boy. I think next time I take a cruise, well, at least up there, you don't have to worry about sharks and stuff. But I'm going to try a warmer climate. I take one of these cruises to somewhere else where it's not so goddamn cold. Ships don't sink. If they do sink, at least you don't freeze to fucking death and have to worry about moving bears over.